Okay, recording. So which one was your favorite president? Nixon, Ford, or Carter?
Jeez, I wasn't crazy about any damn guy. So, I guess probably Ford.
Why? Any specific reasons?
Because he didn't get in any trouble.
Mackenzie, you should
That's
be
a good
taking
one.
notes too, just in case you can't hear it on there.
Okay. Just circled it.
We were being recorded.
Yeah, we're recording it.
She can take the notes.
So what do you remember about Watergate? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember everything about Watergate. I don't know what you would say.
What do
It
you know
was
what
very
happened?
disappointing that our highest officials would be involved with something like that.
What was like the effect on like the public? What do you think?
I think there was a lot of disappointment all around for, like I said, that they would do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. What about 3 Mile Island? Do you remember anything about that?
Yep. That was just down the road from us. It wasn't far from here.
Yeah.
And I guess everybody was on alert around here at that time. Kids had to evacuate. I guess that's probably it, honey. You're in limbo. You didn't know what was going on. Didn't know whether you were going to be here or leave here.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember like the gas and oil shortages?
Yeah.
And like where you had to
Yeah.
only get gas certain times?
Certain days.
Do you remember like what days that was?
Oh, I don't remember specifically what days, but it depended on.
Your license plate, wasn't it?
No, I thought it was your last name, but I'm not sure.
I think it was your license plate, yeah.
I thought it was numbers.
Like the last number of your license plate, if it was
Even
even or
number. It might have
odd.
been.
That's what
Even
it
or odd.
was.
Oh, I hated that. The lines were so long.
Yeah, the lines were terrible.
What did you think about Nixon's resignation and then Carter's pardon of it?
Well, as far as Nixon's resignation, it turned out that he didn't do much worse than anybody else that was in the office subsequently or prior to that. And what was the other part of the question?
Carter pardoned him?
I didn't have any trouble with that. There was guys that did a lot worse that didn't go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
Just in his administration, actually. And like I said, Carter, he was a wuss.
This will be a fun project. What do you remember about the Iranian hostage situation?
Well, which part of it?
Anything.
I mean, I remember it, but I don't know what specifically you're looking for. The
Well, like,
Iranians took 200 and some Americans hostage. I can't remember how many it was now. No, it wasn't
That's a
200
lot.
and some. I can't remember. Held them for
over a year.
was it 400 days or something?
Yeah. 444.
444 days. Fortunately, they survived that. Our hostages, or the hostages, survived it. We didn't lose anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like today, it seems like we're losing somebody every day to the Iranians. They don't call themselves Iranians anymore. They're what the hell? I can't think of what I want to say. But anyway, it wasn't a good situation, but it's been a lot worse situations since then.
Mm-hmm.
Not in numbers, but in, what
Actions.
what's been going on.
Oh, I skipped one. Who did you vote for, like, during the Nixon, Ford, and Carter elections? Did you vote for them? Or their... Do you remember?
Who did I vote for Nixon? I think actually I think I voted for Nixon. That was
Did you?
before.
I've never voted.
Really?
Yeah, I voted for Nixon, but when all this came out, it was with regret.
What about the Boston busing situation? Do you remember about that?
The Boston busing.
The busing where they were trying to integrate schools by sending certain black students to the white school.
Yeah, but I don't know what did Boston have to do with it.
I don't know. That's just like one of the biggest places something happened there. They had like.
I'm trying to think of what happened in Boston. Yeah, I was involved in that. The busing, depending on when you're talking about, but
I wasn't in Boston.
you went, or is it Boston? I didn't go to Boston. I went to.
Well, do you remember like hearing about it on the news? They had.
No, I was there, honey.
You were for real?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were joking. Never mind.
No, but it was in the South. It was.
South, no.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the same thing they're talking about.
Well, they had a thing in Boston where they were like changing the busing routes because it was segregated because this part of Boston was like all black or something. Like it was like that everywhere, but something really big happened in Boston. I don't remember.
That I can't think of anything like that. I was in the South. I was in Alabama. Was it Birmingham? I can't remember that now. But I was with the. Who was I with? 2nd Infantry Division, and we provided protection for the marchers and stuff like that, the people that marched.
For like civil rights.
Yeah, that's what that was all about, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know, we might be talking about two different things here.
Well, that works too. I had a question about that somewhere, but I don't know where I wrote it down. What about Nixon's visit to China and the USSR?
I thought it was a good thing. That's one of the reasons I liked Nixon was, he did some things that he shouldn't have. He didn't do anything any worse than a lot of our presidents or several of our presidents of that era. So I had no problem with Nixon until, all this was found out. And of course, there's a lot of it that he got blamed for he didn't have anything to do with, but he was president.
Mm-hmm.
It was his watch. So.
Okay, now for fun stuff. Did you go to the discos? Did you dance in the disco?
One time.
Yes. What was it like?
Terrible. That's why it was only one time. The disco, I was not a fan of the disco era. I still laugh when I see it.
Did you wear the fun clothes? Did
No.
you have an afro?
No. Actually, I did have an afro at one
I
time.
thought you did.
Yeah, one time I did have an afro.
Was it during the disco era?
Probably.
What's that?
She asked if it was during the disco area, and I said
Era.
probably era. It probably was. You had a perm.
Yeah, I know. I worked. That was before you could have remembered it, though.
No, I know. I just remember the
pictures.
pictures and stories.
'Cause I was in Washington State at the time.
So yes, it was in the disco era.
Cool. That'll be
Because
fun.
disco was in the early 70s, right?
Yep. Yep. Party hard.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's see if I have any other ones that my friend wrote down that I could use. Bring this up.
You went to other dances though. You danced in the American Bandstand.
Oh, we danced a lot. Yeah, we danced a lot
A couple times a week.
with her. Yeah, at least a couple times a week.
I want to go swing dancing. Let's go.
Yeah, dances everywhere.
But that wasn't the disco era.
Oh no.
That
No,
was
that
that was
the
before.
early 60s.
Yeah.
What about stagflation? Do you remember that?
About what?
Stagflation, where the unemployment goes up and inflation goes up at the same time.
What about it, honey?
Like, did that affect you at all? Were you like,
No, I really don't know what that.
it was like the worst economic situation since the Great Depression.
When was that?
It was in the
Stagflation.
same time, like the 70s.
Well,
You brought it when you were born.
I'll tell you something about that and me. It didn't affect me a lot because I worked for the government at the time, and we didn't get the unemployment in the government that the normal, I'll say, people got. You know, I got a job and I had the job and I knew I was going to have the job, and it wasn't where, I was worried about losing my job or anything, because when you worked for the government, you just didn't. So I was pretty firm in what I was doing. It didn't affect me at all.
Do you know who Jim Jones was?
Who?
Jim Jones?
Jim Jones. Well, that sounds familiar. Did you know?
I do, but I want to make sure I was right. Yeah, okay, so let me just make sure I'm right, because I'm going to tell you the wrong thing if I'm not. Is he the
His name is
suicide? They
familiar.
had like a mass suicide in like somewhere in like South America.
Oh, yeah.
That was him, right?
In
Yeah, that is. Okay.
Grenada?
Yep. Or something like that. Starts with a G.
Yeah.
The Kool-Aid. It was the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, there was several hundred people committed suicide. At least some of them committed suicide. Some of them probably didn't have a choice. They were killed. Yeah, I know who it was, Jim Jones now.
He was crazy.
It was just a mass suicide.
What? Why? I'm just curious.
He was a religious leader.
Yeah, it was a religious thing.
And then there were reporters that came down to like check everything out, and then some people were like, "Can we leave with you because we don't like want to be here anymore?" And so the reporters started taking them, and then they got attacked, and all those people died. And then Jim
Well,
Jones,
yeah, the people that came, the reporters and stuff, were attacked and killed.
because they were taking people away. And then the next
And
morning, they were like, "Everybody drink your Kool-Aid."
In view of that, the officials what was his name? Was it Grenada? Was that
The
right?
place, it started with a G. I don't. Guana. I was Guana. I don't know.
I think it was Grenada. But anyway, they all committed suicide then because of these murders. They thought they were going to be killed anyway, so they.
He used to make them do they would do practice like drills, and every morning he would turn the white lights on, and they would all go into this big room, and they would drink Kool-Aid, and it was just like regular Kool-Aid. But then one time he turned it on, and it wasn't a drill because it was after they killed all the reporters. And he was like, nope, this isn't a drill. Everybody drink a Kool-Aid. Give your kids the Kool-Aid. And it had cyanide in it. So, yeah. Okay.
Sounds like a good time.
Oh, yeah, it was a party.